Hey guys, it's Alyssa. I'm back with you on this Saturday. Great Saturday morning. And I'm here to talk about social anxiety. As you can tell by the title, I've been asked my tips on how to control, manage, lessen social anxiety. And it's a very real thing. It can be very, very debilitating, very isolating for a lot of people. And I'm no expert, but I find my tips very, very helpful if you stay consistent over time and have an open mind. Okay, so let's get into, I'm just gonna start off with honestly probably one of my favorite ones. Like, let's be real. Most people are not thinking of us as much as we are thinking of us, or as much as our brain likes to tell us that they are judging us, looking at us, making fun of us, whatever it is. I mean, typically our brains are exaggerating, and there's a good chance that it's wrong, that they're not even thinking that they're not, unless somebody comes, I mean, that's what it is here. Are you a mind reader? Do you read minds? I don't read minds. So how can I get myself all worked up if I don't even really know what that person's thinking? So how do I mean, why not give the benefit of the doubt that they're probably not judging me, unless they come outright and say something obviously rude or hurtful, or, I mean, but most, like when you go to the grocery store and someone looks at you and you think it's kind of a weird look or whatever, chances are they're not, it wasn't on purpose probably, or you think that they're judging you because your hairstyle is a little off today or whatever it is. There's a good chance that they had a thought in their own head and they just kind of made a face to themselves, or they could even be looking past you. I mean, you just don't know, right? You really cannot know for sure unless somebody tells you what they're thinking, that they're necessarily judging you. So if you can kind of work through taking that mindset and maybe putting it more into a positive way, like, oh, it's possible, yes, maybe that person made a little bit of a weird face, but is it possible that they were thinking of something in their own life that just kind of, they're looking around and they think of something and they just kind of made a face, but it wasn't directed towards you or, us? It's very possible. So in order to kind of take that pressure off of yourself, if you're going to think something, I find it's better to kind of think in the positive way, right? It makes me feel better if I think that if I've noticed somebody looking at me, or I think people are judging me in public or whatever, it's easier to kind of take that thought and go, well, wait a second, I don't really know what they're thinking. They're probably all wrapped up in their self, just like I am, worried about what everybody else thinks. They're probably doing the same thing. They could very well be thinking the same thing. So I much prefer to assume that not everything's about me. If people are out laughing, it's more than likely not about me. Most people are wrapped up in their own lives. They have better things to do than worry about what I'm doing, right? Just like I have better things to do than making fun of somebody that their shoes don't match their pants or something, like, just save yourself the energy and assume that everybody else is wrapped up in their own lives and not paying as much attention to you as your brain is telling you. And that's so freeing because, it just takes off so much of that pressure when you're out in public. And I'm not making light of it. I understand it is so debilitating sometimes. But if you can just, my advice, my experience, is to just try to change your mindset just a little bit to understand that no one thinks of me more than I think of me, Like, people are thinking of themselves, mostly, And if somebody goes around and has nothing better to do with their life than go sit somewhere and make fun of people or whatever, then that says more about them, in my opinion. That says more about them than it would about me or anybody else. So that's probably one of my favorite ones, because I just feel like it's so, when I had that mind shift, it was just so like, it was like a light bulb. It was just so kind of quick, and it made social interactions just so much different for me, so much easier. It just made sense. So I hope that tip helps somebody, because that's one of my favorites, I think. So I want to get that out there, because let's be real, the world doesn't revolve around just us, and that's freeing. People have other things going on. They're probably not, and if they are, they're going to be over it. They're going to be, they're going to be over it 10 seconds later on to the next thing, So if you do something embarrassing in public, just laugh about it, and everybody's gonna, it'll be okay. Next, start slow, because it can be very difficult. If you struggle with social anxiety, absolutely, so difficult. Start slow. Some advice and tips out there is face your fear. Absolutely. In my opinion, to an extent, absolutely. But you don't necessarily have to jump in completely, start with just a little, start in smaller groups. Go, to a gathering surrounded by something that you're very passionate about, so that you're already kind of a little bit excited and you have some knowledge, so that if someone comes up to you, you're more comfortable, because you're familiar with, whatever the event is, or if you're, it's a concert or something, whatever, something you enjoy, just something that is going to make you happy to go to. That way, it'll come a little bit more natural if you have to engage with people. Or kind of start off with people that you've already kind of met, so maybe you're a little bit familiar with, and that might help you to engage in a conversation just a little bit easier if you've already met them, and being in a place that you're excited about. I find that's very, very helpful. So start slow. You don't have to jump in in the deep end. Absolutely not. You start slow, and just as you gain a little bit of confidence here and there, it'll get easier each time. Another tip for social anxiety: wear something that makes you feel comfortable. Wear something that makes you feel more confident. I know that in my experience, I always feel better if I go out somewhere and I'm wearing something that feels like me, that's very comfortable, whatever that, I'm not saying it has to be sweatpants and a hoodie, unless that's what, you feel most comfortable in. I just mean comfortable, like it feels like you feel good wearing it, you feel confident. Because for me, sometimes I've noticed I love my skinny jeans. And although sometimes, in the summers it might get really hot, or it might, whatever, I tend to always feel more comfortable in my jeans versus like shorts or like a different kind of, baggier pants or just different material. I just prefer jean. I don't know. So if I'm, worried about maybe being a little bit uncomfortable or I'm just having a little bit of an off day and I don't want to trigger any anxiety, I put on what makes me feel what makes me feel like me. And that is typically jeans for sure. And if you see me looking down, I have some notes because I want to make sure I didn't forget any tips. Because confidence is so important. And as you build that with yourself and more in public, it becomes easier. Social interactions and gatherings will become just a little bit easier each time. But with that in my opinion, also comes self-acceptance. So the more you work on your inner, just accepting yourself the way that you are and being happy and loving who you are inside, will also play into that confidence and make it just that much easier each time you go out. And like I said, it will build. If you consistently work through these, it will, I truly believe it will help tremendously. Because it's definitely, these are things that I do, and just very, very helpful. Okay, next. When you engage in conversations, which you should, I recommend, if you're really wanting to be more fun and have more of a social life, and, I suggest practicing having conversation, engaging in conversation with people, right? So this kind of will go with being somewhere where you're passionate about this, you're in a social setting where you guys have the same interests, so it's easier to kind of talk to somebody. But also focus on another person a little bit. Like, try to really keep your mind focused on what that person's saying, as in like being a really present, great listener. That will lower that person's defenses. I find that it makes, when you're a really good listener to somebody else, they tend to put their walls down, relax a little bit, they'll open up more typically. That in turn, like, the more not only will it distract you from your own head, kind of focusing on what somebody else is talking about, but it also allows them to talk a little bit more. So it'll kind of, you could look at it either way. It could either be like less time that you have to talk if that's a struggle for you, or it could keep the conversation going longer and kind of it'd be easier to tune out, some of the other distractions if you can really focus and be a good listener and present with, one person that you're engaging in, instead of overwhelming yourself where you're just thinking of everybody that's around. You just try really focusing and honing in on one person and making that person feel comfortable. It'll make you feel good and also lower your, the thoughts in your head that are causing the anxiety. Okay. Next. Oh, and people will respect, people tend to respect people that listen really well, and they respond. They'll respond better too. The power of listening really is pretty amazing, in my opinion. Next, you do have to, I do agree that you have to face the fears, right? I don't necessarily think you should jump straight in, but I say embrace your fears. So embrace them, don't fight them, bring them with you. So, in this topic, we're talking about social anxiety. So the fear of being out in social environments, fear of judgment, embarrassment. It's very scary. But instead of fighting those fear thoughts and the worrisome thoughts, try just embracing them and bring them with you. So what I mean by that is feel the fear, accept it. Yes, fear, I hear you. I know that, you're trying to keep me safe, but I'm going to do this damn thing anyway. So you're just coming with me, right? Just come with me. I'm going to, right? Like, invite the fear. The less resistance you give to the fear and fight it, the less power it has, in my opinion. So just bring it along with you. Come on, fear. Give it a name. Lighten it a little bit. and say, you're coming with me, we're doing this. And just see how that changes your mindset. See if it helps in any way, just putting a different spin on it in your head. Okay. Those are my tips. Most people are not thinking of you or judging you the way that your brain tells you they're. Start out slow. You know, smaller, shorter, even in time, maybe gatherings, just to kind of get your feet wet a little bit. Wearing something that makes you feel good. You know, to work on confidence. Be a good listener. Engage, you know, when you can, when you're able, engage with somebody, but maybe just focus more on them to where you take some of the pressure off you. It will make that person feel good, and it might help build confidence with you also. Embrace the fear. Bring it with you. That's the last tip. But I have a suggestion. We'll call it homework. I find that this has been very helpful. And I do this. Whenever you're out in public, begin making eye contact with even just one person. So every time you go out, make it a point. Tell yourself, you know, I'm not going to look down when I'm walking up my feet. I'm going to look up at somebody and actually make eye contact. And just smile a little. You know, just give a little grin. A little smile. It doesn't have to be, you know, full teeth, cheesy smile. And Lord, please, people, don't be creepy. You know, you don't want creepy smile. But I'm just kind of, you know, a friendly smile, like we're human beings, right? Acknowledge that you see somebody. And that eye contact, it typically will make someone else feel really good and seen. And it'll help build confidence within you, which will help with the other tips and social interactions in general. The more you and others are feeling accepted, the energy around will, you know, feel a little bit more positive and safer. Thank you guys for listening. I have full faith that you can overcome social anxiety. And if you're consistent, or even just test out some of these tips, I hope that they help. I know that they've helped me, so I wanted to share in hopes that even just helps one other person. That's awesome. So let me know in the comments what you think. Thank you guys, and have a great Saturday.